All right, so at this point, the next thing I like to do is I like to hit it with the Tgv Denoise. What this does is it's going to clean up some more of the background. This is a little bit of a long process, so it's just a quick drag and drop, and I'll let it run through its sequence, and then we'll continue on with the next video. But you can mess around with this if you want and change the strength and how much it does, and you can kind of see what it does. And once we finish this, I'll go through and show you the difference in it. So we'll just go ahead and drag this and drop it. So it's all finished, and it's got the Tgv Denoise done to it, and then I went to File and Save Project again because I don't want to lose any of the stuff that I've been working on. So if we go in here, we can do a Control-1 and zoom way into the image, and if we scroll over here, we can see the background. And if we go back to before we did the Tgv Denoise, we can see how dirty it was, and then after we applied it. And again, a very small change. It's not huge, but it definitely cleaned it up in the back for the noise. So at this point, the next thing I like to do is the HD transform. So let me just close this. And in here you can play around to see what you want to do. It doesn't have a live preview, unfortunately. So usually what I like to do is I'll create my own preview that I can apply it to. So I'll create like a little preview in here of kind of this area, and then you can just drag and drop it on the desktop, and it creates a new image. So we can delete this one from the main image. And we can apply some settings to it and see kind of like what we want. So, you can drag it and drop it and see what it does. So it goes a little quicker. So we can see that it kind of lightened it up a little bit and brought some more detail to I guess the cloud or the smoke, I guess, in the image. I didn't like that because I thought it brought it too light. So you can play with the numbers and move them up. Maybe we'll try it at 10 to see if that does a little better. Okay, so it brought out a little more detail and stuff, and I don't think it affected the nebula that much. It kind of brings out a little more detail. I kind of like that. So you can play with the numbers and mess around with them and drag and drop, but again, you want to create a preview, so you click on the little new preview here, and then you can just do a square on the space that you want to edit, and then you can just drag it from the image and drop it. So it creates like a brand new image that you can kind of edit with and mess around. And when you're done, you can just delete all this stuff and close out of it. And yes, we want to delete it, and click on the preview. If you right click on it, you can delete the preview. And then essentially at this point, we'll just drag and drop the HDR transform on it and let it do its work. Again, it's going to take a little bit of time because it's a larger image. So it takes a moment. So I'll let it run through its process, and then we'll do the next. At this point, we did the HDR multi-scale transform. We'll close out of that. And then the next thing I do is the gradient HDR compression. And in here, this does have a live preview, so we can adjust it and kind of find what we want. And we can just kind of mess with stuff and see what it does to the image and how it affects it, and kind of find what we want. So clearly we don't want something crazy, but kind of mess around with it and find what settings look good to you. Maybe right there. So you can see it did quite a bit of a difference in the image. It brought out some more detail in it. Kind of changed it a little bit. It's subtle, it's not huge. Oh, it's kind of cool. Gives it like a contemporary look or something. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, like I said, you can just mess with this and find out what you like. Maybe right there, it kind of lightens the nebula a little bit in the center. Again, it's all the taste. So we'll go ahead and drag and drop this on here. And it should just take a moment. Hopefully, I think this process is a little quicker. No, it's going to take a minute. So I'll go ahead and stop the video and let this process run through, and then we'll do our next set. So that was actually a little quicker than I thought, but whatever. The next thing I do is there's a little space here that I created. So I remember this because it's dark. So in here we go to the Process Explorer and we want to type in dark. I don't know why, that's how I remember it. And we're going to do a dark structure enhance. Some of these things you can't create icons for, so this is kind of where it's at. With this, it doesn't let you live preview it, so you kind of just apply it to the image. I have it set at 8, which is default. You can change it and play with it, and change it and play with it, and keep doing what you want to do. And you could even do like a small preview, so you could do quicker changes on it, like I showed in a previous video. But essentially, I'm just going to hit the OK button and let it run through its process. It goes kind of quick. All right, and there's the difference in it. So you can look at the difference if you go back and forth. So see how it darkened it a little bit in the Nebula area. So if you look in the Nebula area, you'll see how it darkened it up a little bit. So I don't know, I like that, and it just brings out a little more dark in it. If it's too dark for you, you can change it. It's up to you. It's your taste. I kind of like it. It kind of defines it a little more, I think, in my opinion. So the next thing I do is the Multimedia and Transform. I already have some settings set in here, but you can do a live preview to kind of see what it's going to look like on the image. And it takes a minute just to compute it so you can see the live preview. So we'll let it do its thing here. And I actually have a pretty quick computer, but again, we're working with such a large file. It's 6,000 by 6,000 resolution, so it's really large. So even though I have a 2018 i7 in this thing and 32 gigs of RAM, it still gets beaten up with larger images. So so we can look at difference at it, and it did a little bit of a change here. You can see just a small change within the nebula itself. It's only affecting the top 2 layers, so it's not a huge change. Again, like I said, with PI, we're not doing like major manipulation to the image. It's just doing little changes where it's bringing out some more of the detail, and we can scroll into this a little bit, so it's the same size roughly. So I don't know if you can see the color changes here, but there's just a little bit of difference in the images, and that's what I like about PI. It doesn't blow it all out. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply that. See, I don't like that. You see how it blew it out so hard? So we'll just do a Control Z. So again, that was a little too much for my taste. I wonder if I accidentally applied it twice. I did apply it twice, that's why. So if we go back and look at the history here, I accidentally did apply it twice. So that was before and that was after. It just brings out some more of the colors and the stars, as you can see, but we don't need to do it twice. So we can just stop there with that. And then the next one is the Morphological Transformation. I already have it set with some specific settings and stuff like that, and I can just drop it on the image and it'll do its little magic. And here it was a little too dark for my taste, so I can just Control Z. And again, you can play with these settings if you want. So maybe we want to do an amount of like 80. Let's see. Yeah, it's still a little too much. And what this does, the Morphologic Transformation, is it removes some of the stars, so they're not so bright. So maybe we'll just bring it down a little bit here. Maybe we'll go to like 50, because some images that we'll work with in the future, or I may post and stuff like that, and if you're still going through my same process, there may be a lot of stars in it. A really good example is the Heart Nebula. Man, that thing is loaded with stars. So for something like the Heart Nebula, or not the Heart, yeah, the Heart Nebula, for that, this is a really good process to use. I also used it on a previous image that I did of M78 because I just thought the stars were just too much. And I don't know, that I don't want to kill the stars per se. Maybe I'll do like 30. But there was a lot of stars, and I kind of like the way that it looks, so you can just adjust it. And to me, that's a little better. It doesn't, the stars aren't popping so hard. So that's our final image, in my opinion. I'm happy with that. That looks good. You can still see a little bit of the dust clouds around the image. I feel like the nebula looks really good. I might adjust it a little more with the colors and stuff like that in the color section. But at this point, when you're done, you can save it again. File, save project or image. What we can do is we can create a clone of it real quick. And before you create the clone, you want to go to File and Save Project again and just save the whole project. So now that we have a clone created, what we can do is use Resample, which is the final process that I do with my images. So in here, you can basically go down to the clone that you have, and then in here you can set the resolution for the for how big you want to post it, because online maybe you don't want to do a 4,000 by 4,000 image. Maybe you only want to do like 1,200, and you basically do this, and then you can just drop it, and then it'll do a resize for you. So that's the resized image, and if we hit Control-1, it'll bring it to full resolution, and then I can just zoom out. And as you notice, it's getting pixelated once you go in harder. On the main image, we can actually zoom in quite a bit, and we don't get pixelated like the other one because this one's not resized. So this is the 4,000 by 4,000, and this is the 1,200 by 1,200. So once you're done at this point, you just need to save the image. So you can do that just by going to File and Save As, and then essentially you just save your, it's telling you which one we're saving, because I was already clicked on that image, and it's doing the Drizzle Integration DB Clone TIFF, and you can save it as a TIFF or a JPEG or a PNG, or whatever you want to save it as. So you can choose what you want to save it as. I'm going to save mine as a TIFF, and I'll hit the Save button, and then essentially you just do 32-bit, none for compression. I use the ICC profile, which is using the normal color profile for your computer, and then I just hit the OK button and it saves it, and that's it. So I hope this video suite was helpful, and again, you can use this process for other, probably for DSLR and also one-shot color. I haven't used this process specifically for DSLR because I've changed my process so much over the last few months that I've been using PixInsight and learning it more. But I think we did a pretty good job. We didn't have a whole lot of. We had 3 hours of integration of the Rosette Nebula, and I think it came out pretty good. I'm happy with it, and hopefully yours looks really cool too. And please feel free to post it and share on the forums on cloudy nights. And again, thanks for your time and watching this craziness of astrophotography. Thank you.